Hello and welcome back to your favorite weekly Pokemon podcast, Pod-ket Monsters. My name is Dustin Cunningham, and joining me as always is Jeff Grizz Ulrich. Jeff, how are you this week?
I'm doing quite well. How are you, Dustin?
I am doing pretty well. We ran into some technical difficulties trying to get this episode running.
As we usually do.
Yeah. That's what happens when you do a podcast from your home, that when you don't have a whole lot, like, you don't have great
technical
equipment.
prowess.
You're just kind of figuring it all out as you go. Yeah. And so just to get this out of the way real fast as well too, I know last weekend we did say that we'd have Will on this episode. He wasn't able to make it this week, but fret not. We made the call, and our amazing friend, holder of Jigglypuff's marker supply, Jessica Sanchez, answered. Jess, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic, Dustin. I'm very excited to be here with you guys this week.
We're very excited to have you. Now, we've done this before with our guests, so we just do some like quick questions to kind of get to know your history with Pokemon and your relationship with the franchise. So, we just have a few questions for you. Jess, what is your favorite Pokemon generation?
So I was 10 years old when the original anime came out. So I was the perfect age for the original 151. So that is always going to be my favorite.
And that's fine. Everyone is okay with that answer. No one's mad if someone says their favorite gen was Gen 1.
Yeah, there are Pokemon that I love from the newer generations. There are Eevee evolutions that I think they just went above and beyond as they went on. But the original 151 is always going to be like right here.
I get it. That's respectable. I think Gen 1 is probably my second favorite. But
everyone knows Dustin's a Gen 3 guy.
Okay, everybody does know that. This is actually a very fitting question for the topic of the show this week. What is your favorite Pokemon film?
So actually, the original 1998 movie is to this day still my favorite film. I saw it in theaters. I was 13 when that came out, so it was right at the edge where I was like, okay, Pokemon are cool, but I'm gonna get into more edgy animes now. Like Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
But the gateway.
But the movie was, it was different and it was interesting, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm not going to go on about it.
Yeah. What is your favorite Pokemon type?
So I'm a fire type all day. I always pick fire starters. To be fair, I tend to only play Pokemon games for about 10 hours and then I drop them because that's about my attention span.
They're long too. It's not like there's a lot of grinding and stuff like that.
So right. And see, that's the thing. The second that the story slows down, like, I'm like, oh, what's this game over here? Because you guys know me well enough. I'm shiny, literally shiny Pokemon over there.
Shiny hunting. Okay, and last question is, who is your favorite Pokemon?
Vulpix is my favorite Pokemon. I actually considered bringing, and I know all of my answers are very basic 151, answers.
It's totally fine.
No need to apologize on that.
But I actually considered bringing over, I have one of the Vulpixes that you got from KFC back in the day. Like, I still have it.
Nice.
I've had... And it sits way up high on my shelf because my dogs like to tear things up. So, he stays there. But Vulpix, it's a Firefox and it grows into a Ninetales.
Well, and then especially like Brock's Vulpix, I think helped out a lot too for like everybody's love for Vulpix.
Agreed. And again, like I'm a fire type at heart. So it's just, it checks all the boxes for me.
Vulpix is a great Pokemon. Okay. So for today's main topic is going to be a first one for us here. We're actually going to be doing our first review of anything. It won't be our last. We will definitely be doing a review episode for Pokemon Snap later on. I would say probably the first couple weeks of May is when we will be doing that. But what we're going to do today is we're going to do an in-review for Pokemon the First Movie. But we're also going to be going through the plot for that and Pikachu's Vacation. So we'll go through the plots on both of those, kind of share our opinions on them after the news, and just kind of see how everybody feels about the movie and the short film. I definitely have opinions on the short film that I didn't have when I was a child. So,
Well, and before we dive into that, I believe Jessica had something else she wanted to say
Oh,
at the top of the show as
yes.
well.
Gotta get the disclaimer out of the way. Thank you, Jeff. So I do, full disclosure, I do work for Nintendo as a retail representative. So I'm the kind of person that you would see in stores fixing things or updating things or just talking about games. But my appearance here today is my opinions. I do not represent the company on podcasts.
She just happens to be talking about a game that the company sells. It's a coincidence.
Yes.
All Jess's opinions today are her own.
Yes.
But but she's not even talking about the games so much today. We're talking about the movie. Nintendo had nothing to do with it.
I did think it was kind of funny that like at the beginning of the Pikachu's Vacation, it does have the Nintendo logo pop up. It's like, oh yeah. All right, so let's dive into the news. We don't have a whole lot of news today, so we're going to keep it kind of short and sweet so we can get into the plot because that is going to take up a majority of the show time. So, all right, first piece of news is Snivy is going to be the Community Day Pokemon this month in Pokemon Go. That actually starts tomorrow here in the United States, or if you're Riley in another country, it has already started. You can catch Snivy. Basically, there's going to be a bunch of Snivy everywhere from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. local time, wherever you are, with higher chances of getting shiny Pokemon. Jeff, do you know what move they can potentially learn?
Frenzy Plant is when you evolve to Superior, you can get Frenzy Plant at this time. Well, during the Community Day event.
Yeah, there's always some like special move,
and it seems like anytime the Pokemon's a grass type, the special move is always Frenzy Plant. But okay,
what if it's broke, don't fix it, kind of thing, you know? Or if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's it. So that's cool. If you play Pokemon Go, that's awesome. Get out there, get your shiny Snivies. Speaking of Pokemon Go, Rivals Week is coming to Pokemon Go, and it brings with it rival Pokemon and competitions. The Season of Legends continues with Rivals Week, the event celebrating rivalries between Pokemon. The Rivals Week lasts from Tuesday, April 13th, 2021 at 10 a.m. to Sunday, April 18th, 2021 at 8 p.m. local time. For more events that take place in Pokemon Go this month, check out the April 2021 events in Pokemon Go guide. So if you're playing Pokemon Go, there's another thing to check out.
You got a new thing every week on Pokemon
Go. Rivals Week is going on as well, so there's something for you to look forward to as well.
I really would like to know the statistics on how many people successfully complete all of the challenges for each new thing they do each week. It's got to be like Riley and 3 other people in the entire world that actually complete all these challenges.
I never complete anything in those games.
I was actually really trying for the Easter one. Where you get all the spring bunnies.
Yep.
But I never got an execute in a rocket match.
Right? So, like that was unfair. Like you have to get one of the shadow executes.
Right, and I never saw one of the Mega Evolution battles happen, so I was just like, all right, well.
Harry in the chat is indicating that he too also completes all of the challenges every week. You guys must walk more than I do.
Yeah, I thought I walked a lot with my dog, but apparently I don't walk enough to do any of the extra stuff. All right, and then sorry, go ahead.
No, I just live in a place where there's no Pokestops, so
I live in a smaller area, so for me, they're not super close. I do have to walk a ways to them. But last piece of news I wanted to go over, really so much isn't like a news topic. It's just that Chilling Reigns pre-orders are continuing to go out. So the new Pokemon TCG set that comes out in June, GameStop just recently had their pre-orders. If you haven't been able to get anything, I know as of yesterday you were still able to pre-order booster packs. At least you can only pre-order 5 per person. I may or may not have used another email to pre-order another 5 so that I could get a total of 10.
You don't think that they're going to check the address and cancel one of those orders?
I mean, we'll see what happens. I almost put my fiance's name in there instead, just so that it was 2 other people getting it. But we'll see what happens. So keep an eye out for pre-orders popping up. They're going to go fast. So as we were talking about in the pre-show, anytime the Pokemon trading card game gets brought up, we talk about not being able to find Pokemon cards anywhere. So if you're wanting to get some, turn on notifications for Pokemon TCG drops on Twitter. That's literally how I get probably 90% of what I have, is by having the alerts go off and then jumping in and buying them real fast. Harry knows all about that. Jake knows all about that too.
I was able to get some pre-orders. You pre-order some stuff for Chilling Reigns at my local shop. My the owner, BMAC, great guy. BMAC was talking to me while we were there, is that, you know, for like decades they release all these Pokemon things, and he might have a line on release day, but these last few months, or these last few sets that have come out, he's had lines for pre-orders. People showing up in the store, you know, right at 2:00 when he was going to start doing pre-orders. When I went to do it, there was already like 6 other people there in front of me to do pre-orders.
Just to get cards in general, my mom
Mhm.
went out to Target for me the other day because she was already going to town, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll stop and see if I can get any." She got there right at about 8, and there was 30 other people in line in front of her, and they've
Oh,
been there since like 4 in the morning.
no, here it's even worse than that. We have a few Targets here, but people for because they're doing the Friday releases for everything, they just don't put out new Pokemon stuff until Friday now, which helps because then you know when they're going to have stuff,
Yeah.
but then you know when they're going to have stuff.
Right.
So, you know, here people have started lining up at 9:30 p.m. the day before.
No, what are you doing?
There's a rumor going around that Target is going to start doing everything like they are with the PS4 or PS5s and Xbox Series X, where it's pre-order or buy online for in-store pickup is the only way you can get Pokemon cards, which makes it a little bit more fair to people like me who works 40 minutes in the opposite direction of Target and cannot make it to a
But it also makes
Target
it
at
so
8
that they're
a.m.
susceptible to bots ordering all of
It
the product.
does. I have been successful with Target pretty well recently. Not always, but especially if you can make it though for in-store pickup at that store, you're gonna really only be competing with people that are getting the product at your local store. So,
Sure.
but it doesn't matter where you are. Apparently, everybody, essentially everywhere right now, is having a hard time keeping Pokemon cards. I thought because I was in a smaller town, I wouldn't have as much of a issue, but I'm still having a hard time finding them.
You know, and that's the thing, like they're doing what they can to mitigate. The moving everything to Friday was a move to mitigate. It's going to be a challenge right now.
Yeah. I think with vaccines coming out and people starting to be able to go out and do real things in the world again, people will be less bored and probably not buy Pokemon cards as much as they are now.
I
But
don't
who
know,
knows?
because like now there's all these people who got hooked on it while they were staying home that are now like, you know what, maybe I will go play a game, you know, at the local shop or something like that.
I think it'll just be similar. It'll be like waves, like with the original Pokemon when it was, you know, in the 90s when Pokemon cards were so popular and everything like that, where it'll kind of slow down a little bit, and then the people that are fans will stick around, but people that are just doing it to resell them will
That'll fall
probably
off a
won't
little bit.
Yeah,
That'll
they won't
stop.
be as interested as much. So
Fingers
yeah,
crossed on that one.
hopefully you're able to get Chilling Reigns. Like I said, good luck. If you can get anything, I believe, they're still up at GameStop if you want to at least get some booster pack. So, all right. So now that the news is out of the way, let's get on to the main topic of our show, which is Pokemon the First Movie and Pokemon Pikachu's Vacation. But before we run through the plots, I did want to go through a little trivia for the movies, the IMDb trivia that is listed for those. Trivia and just a little bit of facts about the movie as well. So, Pokemon the First Movie was released in theaters in Japan on July 18th, 1998. The film was later released in the United States on November 12th, 1999. Jess, you said that you saw this in theaters. Jeff, did you also see this in theaters?
Yes, I did. Multiple times.
Okay. Yeah, I know I saw it at least once in theaters. The neighbor who was like, I want to say, let's see, in 99, I would have been 8. And I think he was probably like 16 or something like that. So he took me to see the
So
movie.
you say in 99, when in 99 did it come out? July?
Yeah, November.
November.
It was
November,
July
okay.
in Japan.
Yeah, so I would have been 11 years old when this movie came out.
Okay.
Is that right? I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then a little bit of like I saw this later on. So it says that the release date was November 12th, but I guess they actually pushed it up 2 days to like because it was I think it was Veterans Day or right? Is that in November or that what's the holiday in November that
I think it's Veterans Day in November because Memorial Day is in May.
Memorial's in May? Yeah, so they
Right.
moved it forward to capitalize on the Veterans Day weekend to get as much as they like much money as they could on it.
Looking at that release date, November 10th is a big release date for Pokemon. Like that around that time period is when the mainline games like to come out.
Yeah.
They,
It is-
they love that month.
Mhm.
Yeah, they really do. They love November. So next up, the budget of the film is about roughly 350 million yen, which equates to 5 million US.
That
And the
is-
final box.
That is so not much.
Yeah, right. For an animated kids movie, when you think about it now, they're so much more money.
Tell me
goes
the
into
box office, Dustin. What was the box
Yeah,
office?
well, so the box office numbers worldwide were $172.7 million.
Yeah, so they made their money back.
Yeah. And then some.
And then some.
Hey, well, think about all the marketing that went into that. Like,
Well, so that's what I do want to stipulate. The budgets listed on IMDb do not reflect the marketing budgets.
exactly.
So they probably didn't
This
make
is
as much money
production
as we're
budget, yeah.
imagining, but they still
Well,
made good
like,
money.
They
think
still
about all
made
the
a
like
lot.
gold Pokemon cards that you could get as well too.
Yep.
Like I remember getting those and all the promotional Pokemon cards that came out that they released when you went to go see the movie and you got your cards and stuff like that. So there was a lot of money put into the marketing side of these. Every one of these first 3 movies at least that went to the theaters. So okay. You go ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking, I highly doubt it was over 100 million though. So regardless, they
Oh,
got
yeah.
a
Oh, for
good
sure.
return.
They made
Especially in
good
the
return on that.
90s. Yeah, it probably would have been maybe like I honestly don't even know if the marketing would have been more than like $10 million.
I certainly think the marketing budget would have been higher than the actual budget for making the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, you'll see $100 million marketing budgets now, but
Yeah.
yeah, back then for a kids movie, probably tops 15.
It does make
considering
me
all of the
curious
physical merchandise.
because of how big Pokemon was at the time. How much marketing did they actually need to do? Versus,
Exactly.
because a lot of it would just be kids telling each other, "Oh, I'm gonna go see the Pokemon movie. You got to come see it with me," But
I actually have a piece of trivia that kind of ties into that.
Oh yeah, go for it.
As well too when we get there. The film was directed by I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm sorry, Kunihiko Yuyama, who also directed just about every other Pokemon animated movie. I went to look through the list of movies he directed, and it's just basically every single Pokemon animated movie that's come out, he directed.
On my Letterboxd, he is one of my most watched directors. And I'm a big movie guy. I watch a lot of movies from a lot of directors, but he is in my top 10 for most watched directors.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, okay, this is probably the guy that directed like the first 3 Pokemon movies. Nope. Just about every Pokemon movie that has come out, he directed. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah. And then, like I said, I have some trivia as well too from IMDb. The Japanese version of the film, Mewtwo is shown as more of a favorable light. Feeling that Mewtwo has no place in the world. He wants to earn his place. And in the English dub, they opt to make Mewtwo, this is their words, not mine. Mewtwo, an emotionalist tyrant who wants to destroy the world, a decision that both fans and critics criticize. In hindsight, the producers felt they made the wrong decision.
Well,
so
I like the American Mewtwo.
Yeah, I think he's just very like, what is my purpose? Like he's just very emo. I just see him as like an emo kid.
I mean, I think it goes a little deeper than that, but we'll get into that in the movie.
Yeah. But that's just kind of how I read it. I don't read it as like he's an emotionless tyrant.
No, he has emotions. They're just very negative.
Well, and then a piece of trivia that I didn't throw in here, but I still have the list of trivia pulled up, is that the Japanese version has an entirely different story. So,
Ooh.
Yeah, I've never seen the Japanese version, but there's an entirely different story.
I'll tell you, that doesn't surprise me too much, especially when you hear a lot of the jokes in the script. You're like, there's no way that was in the Japanese version.
This is the highest grossing anime film of all time in the United States. So we were talking about the gross of the film earlier. It is still the highest grossing. I believe there's a few movies that have come close. Like I think Dragon Ball Z Broly or Dragon Ball Super Broly, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
had a pretty like, or did fairly well as well. And then the last piece of trivia that I have on here, this ties back into the animated series. When the film was first conceived in 1997, it was planned to be a series finale for Pokemon the animated series. The series' phenomenal reception resulted in minor changes to the movie to hint at the series' continuation. The movie released theatrically and between major episodes of the show rather than at the end of, or rather than the television finale as well, and the original as well was the original plan. So it was originally supposed to be the series finale.
Wow, I can't imagine it ending there. And when you say series finale, like because we have all these iterations that have continued, and Ash just keeps going after
The same stuff.
same stuff.
Anybody who's ever listened to a single one of our podcasts will know that we think it is time for Ash to not be in the show anymore.
Ash needs to retire.
Yep.
And
Well,
so now,
he's a 40-year-old 10-year-old.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been long enough, Ash. It's let's grow a little.
He got
I
his
mean, literally
championship.
grow.
So I just thought I think that one is the most interesting for me because I'm in the same boat. Like, can you imagine if Pokemon just ended there?
So I can imagine it, and I imagine that it would have been that series ended, and then they would have done another Pokemon series with a different character,
Somebody else, yeah.
or even if they had just brought Ash back, like it's just a new series. He's a couple years older, whatever. But I honestly could have believed it, and would have been really stoked about it in retrospect.
Or for like the 4 fans that might get this, they could have Yu-Gi-Oh! GX'd it and just introduced a whole new cast of characters. Got rid of Yugi as the main character, but like I said, that's a very limited amount of people will understand that reference. All right, so now that we've got the trivia out of the way, let's get into the plot. We're gonna start with Pokemon Pikachu's Vacation, which, as we said before, starts with the Nintendo logo, which I still think is weird that it had the Nintendo logo pop up at the beginning of it, but. So Ash, Brock, and Misty stumble upon a Pokemon paradise, and they decide to leave their Pokemon there, and Ash tasks Pikachu with keeping an eye on Togepi. After that, we get a banger of a theme song by the artist of Vitamin C, called Vacation, I believe is just the title of the song.
Yep.
And it features all of the Pokemon, all of their trio, their Pokemon just walking around the Pokemon park, kind of like dancing a little bit to the beat, like as the opening is happening to it, and it brought me back.
I'll
Man.
be honest,
It brought me back
I was
to
really
being a
hyped.
kid.
I was really hyped
Yeah.
as a kid, and when I watched it earlier this week, I was like, "Yeah, look at these cool Pokemon."
Yeah,
They have a party.
It made me so nostalgic.
I love anytime Pokemon are just being Pokemon, like without people.
Yes.
It's my favorite. So yeah, I couldn't really remember the plot to this. I remembered watching it. I remembered some bits of it, but I couldn't really remember what happened.
Yep.
So yeah, that theme song comes on, and it just, you get that, I know it's coming.
Yep.
This is great.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. Like, I could not remember anything that happened in this before we watched it, but it did all like slowly start coming back to me. So, we get the VO from the Pokédex that informs us basically that the Pokédex is studying the Pokemon in like a state of relaxation. So they're on their vacation, just hanging out. And I think it's funny that we get VO from the Pokédex as if it's like the narrator of this,
Well,
which
and
is
it makes
really weird.
Where is it watching them from?
I don't know. Like, drone technology wasn't a
Was
thing.
not a
back
thing
then.
yet.
There's no Rotom Dex, so it's not like it can it's not like it has a mind of its own or anything like that, or a way to travel around.
Yeah, it never occurred to me what level of sentience the Pokédex has.
Apparently, it's pretty high.
It's like some Skynet level stuff going on there. Might have to worry about it taking over the Pokemon world. All right. So while in the park, Togepi all of a sudden starts crying uncontrollably. The other Pokemon try to soothe it, but nothing works until Bulbasaur starts singing it a lullaby. Which...
A Bulbaby.
Yeah, a Bulbaby. Which was... Again, this short is so random. Like... And by that, I mean literally the next scene where it just cuts to a random interlude. And it's the creepiest moment ever of a mirrored Bellsprout. And it's just... You gotta wonder how high they were when they made this, right?
Because this is for kids. So, like...
Yeah.
But it almost like I said it in my review on Letterboxd, it had a David Lynchian quality to it. Very creepy. They're like,
Yeah,
what is happening here?
some Twin Peaks level
Yeah.
like stuff going on in the middle of a Pokemon animated short.
It's definitely a weird choice for a transition because it's very distracting.
And this short has so many transitions.
It's a 20-minute short, and they transition like 12 times.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this just keeps happening.
But for real, I kind of love it.
Oh no, it makes it memorable.
I have opinions on it, that's for sure. After the weird Bellsprout moment, we're introduced to Snubbull, Cubone, Raichu, and Meryl, who arrive and basically try to square up with Pikachu and the gang.
Okay, so how hyped were you as a kid? Think back to being a child.
When Peekaboo showed up?
When Peekaboo shows up on screen, and then you're like, what's this pink grumpy dog?
Yep.
I'm not as hyped about that one, but Peekaboo is real?
That's a good segue to me to like think about. I think about that, and then I think about them introducing Ho-Oh in the first episode. Like, they were setting up this world, and it's so cool when you think about it. Like, just the way that they were setting it all up.
See, here's one of those moments where I'm like, I'm dumb. I was having this conversation with Jake of 61 Indie recently about how I don't notice that there are not Pokemon clones, but like Pikachu clones. So he had to tell me, like, oh yeah, Minun and Pulse and
Plusle, yeah.
Those are Pokemon, those are Pikachu clones. I'm like, what? No, really?
Okay, it's funny to think of that because they came out the generation after Pichu came out, and Pichu is basically Plusle and Minun, but like just split into two. Like, it's another super small mouth.
For me, it never occurred to me that it was like, oh, this is an iteration of Pikachu for this generation. I was just like, no, that's just a new thing. Like, I don't know.
I'm envious of your ability to ignore that, because now every time I see an electric rodent Pokemon, I'm like, here we go again.
So obviously Jeff remembers that, but do you remember that, Jess, when everybody didn't know the name and they just called it Peekaboo? Like,
I do remember that. That was definitely a big thing in school, yeah.
It's so funny how, like, those are the things that you think about that, like, oh man, maybe only my school did this, but it's like, I talked to Jeff one day, and then he's like, yeah, Peekaboo, and like, you talk to other people, and they're like, Peekaboo, and it's like, whoa, I guess it was not just my school that thought it was Peekaboo.
I was pretty far down the Pokemon rabbit hole, and so even before the movie had come out, and like you were getting information about the new Pokemon in Japan, and you know the word was spreading about Peekaboo, I started naming my Pokemon in Red and Blue after the Pokemon that were going to be announced in Japan. So I had a Pikachu named Peekaboo, even though it didn't make any sense.
He was the sad
he's
one.
not blue. Yeah. It's just a sad Pikachu.
Emo Pikachu.
Okay. So
Emo Pikachu's coming up.
True.
Right? Speaking of Pikachu, so Pikachu then tries to reason with the other Pokemon so that they don't set a bad example for Togepi, and then Togepi then just takes off. While they're like fighting and arguing, Togepi just bounces out. And then we're once again treated to a super weird moment with a bunch of water Pokemon, topped off with Magikarp blowing bubbles at us. and that's our next little interlude to the next section of the movie. So be prepared, people, because there's a lot of these coming up.
It's important that they have these transitions, because I don't think you would have been able to follow the story if they didn't have these transitions in there. It's way too complex.
Without the transitions, this would have been a 15-minute short, and that won't do.
Like, what's the
we
point
couldn't
of
allow
it at that point?
Yeah, you might as well just not have it if there's no interludes. So Pikachu catches up with Togepi on a log before the log starts to roll, and the Pokemon are sent flying down towards a cliff, which Pikachu falls off into the water before the edge, but Togepi isn't as lucky, or so Pikachu thinks. He looks up at the edge and sees Togepi just walking around, all happy, totally fine. And then we're treated to another interlude of Slowpoke just sitting in the clouds, slowly saying, slow. And that's what we get.
I freaking love it. I love the Slowpoke interlude. That is my absolute favorite. By far.
Jeff, this just makes me think of Jess, I don't know if you've seen Pokemon Journeys on Netflix at all, but there's an episode that's like a totally random like filler episode where there's an island that they go to covered in Slowpoke, and there's like a Jamaican Slowpoke song that plays, and it's just so funny. Like, There's just a lot of weird stuff with Pokemon or with Slowpoke.
Slowpoke is a weird Pokemon.
Yeah. But yeah, this one was the one for me that I was like, what's happening? And I was watching this, mind you, at like 9:45 at night, and I'd been up since like 6 that morning for work, and I was just like, I don't know what's going on. But yeah. So all right. After that one, after that Slowpoke one ends, we then jump to Squirtle and Snubble, who are again squaring up to fight. Snubble punks Squirtle, then Bulbasaur steps in and starts to move its eyes weird. So basically just like looking around a bunch, which confuses Snubble and makes him fall over. I put a question mark at the end there because I was very confused by that as well. That is...
I feel like that's kind of an anime trope.
Yeah,
in general.
I guess. Just
like where they fall over when they're confused.
Yeah.
So like maybe that's the only justification I have for that.
Yeah. And then again, like all the Pokemon are about to basically fight again, and then Pikachu shows up. We're treated to another interlude, which just involves Primeape training, a bunch of Primeape just punching the air. So we get that one. That one for me wasn't as interesting as Slowpoke, but I mean,
the rest of them can't possibly live up. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Hey, every Pokemon is someone's favorite Pokemon, so somebody loved that.
That's actually a question that we bring up pretty regularly on here. Is this Pokemon someone's favorite Pokemon? And I think there are some Pokemon that are not.
I would love to meet the person who Stunfisk is their favorite Pokemon.
I mean, that's a very solid pick for a Pokemon that is no one's favorite.
But,
yeah.
So
there's definitely.
Oh, go ahead.
Hit us up on Twitter if your favorite Pokemon is Stunfisk.
We add at Pod-ket Monsters if Stunfisk is your favorite Pokemon. Let us know why. We would love to talk about it here.
Now, Snubble, Snubble's going to be someone's favorite. That
Snubble's great. Snubble's great. Okay, so the Pokemon decide to challenge
real quick. Yes, Stunfisk did ruin my Nuzlocke, so definitely not my favorite Pokemon. Go ahead, Dustin.
So the Pokemon decide to challenge each other to a race to settle their beef. We're treated to a race between Squirtle and Meryl set to another banger of a pop song. I don't know the name of this one this time, but it was awesome. Whatever, they're basically just racing for a little bit.
The Catch Me If You Can one, that one?
Yeah,
Come on, try to catch me.
Yes. I had it originally that we were going to talk about the soundtrack on this in review, but it got way too long anyways. We can just mention it as it goes on, but I don't know if you guys remember or bought the soundtrack to this movie in the 90s,
yes,
but man, it was just every pop singer that you could think of was on there. Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, everybody was on there. So, okay. Squirtle thinks he's won the race and looks up right at the end to see that Meryl is basically just doing a victory dance with all of his friends and realizes that Squirtle lost. And we see our sad boy Squirtle, formerly of the Squirtle Squad, lose, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, but okay, so what is that Goldeen doing in there? That's cheating, right?
Yeah.
That was cheating.
Why
Stop
are water
the race.
Pokemon
Why do you have another water Pokemon in the raceway? There's a race going on.
Yep.
I'm just saying they should have redone the race.
Yeah, I don't really. Pokemon rules, man. I don't know what they decide. Maybe they allow cheating. Maybe they're fine with it.
When you think about the logic of a Pokemon battle, and you have to apply that to then a let's be honest, low stakes race. Yeah, they're probably fine. Just
honestly, the stakes in this are higher than any regular Pokemon battle.
Okay, that's fair because it is more of a personal thing.
This is a personal grudge match.
This is all about integrity. Okay, this is a race about
Well, and in this group, these bullies show up in the Pokemon Park. They definitely these guys. They're here every day, and they're like, "Oh, we're the kings of Pokemon Park."
They find a new group.
They find the new group and they pick on them every day. That's their shtick.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
There's always that group.
So this is the real stuff here, guys.
Speaking of shticks, this animated short shtick is giving us another interlude at one after another, and this one features Executor and Oddish just repeatedly saying their names in sync, so it sounds kind of like a song. And it may or may not have gotten stuck in my head for the remainder of the movie or the remainder of the video.
Fortunately, there's one more interlude after this
Yes.
that triggers another song in my head that eliminated that pretty quickly.
Yeah. So, yeah. These interludes, man, they just keep coming. What is that, 4 already? We're
I've
probably
already lost
5 minutes into this. Yeah. Okay, we jump back over to the two groups of Pokemon still squaring up. It is kind of weird because like now they're back in the same spot they were before the race. So I'm like, did the race happen after this, or like did they go do the race?
They do the race, they come back. This is the designated meeting area for each round of the competition.
Okay, got it. So they have to every single time they square up, they have to be there.
Yes,
got it. Okay.
It's the 50-yard line of the Pikachu or of the Pokemon Park. Yes,
got it. Noted.
The first rule of Poke Park is you don't talk about Poke Park, but the second rule is you always meet up in this spot to square off.
Okay, so they're still squaring up with each other, and Raichu shocks Pikachu, which causes Pikachu to finally get upset, and then Pikachu gets in Raichu's face, literally gets in Raichu's face, and they like shove their cheeks into each other, and then just run full speed through the park, just kind of causing mayhem, going through, pushing. They're continuously pushing into each other. They run across the water in a way that would make a holy deity proud, I put in my notes. They run up a waterfall. They slide down a zip line. They hop across some logs, and they run through...
Real quick, as if Pikachu needed a Jesus metaphor for his popularity. Seriously. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. They run across the water. They run across some logs. They run through the walls of a hedge maze and just keep going. And then we get another interlude, and this one's all about our boys Diglett and Doug Trio, which is definitely the other song that gets stuck in your head.
Diglett,
and they basically
Dig, Trio.
Yep. They basically just play whack-a-mole and constantly pop up saying their names. They just keep going up and down, and that's all they do the whole time. And it's so weird. After this is when we finally get introduced to Team Rocket in the short, and by that I just mean Meowth, Weezing, and Arbok. We see them for the first time in this short. So that's cool that they're there. I don't know why they're there. It's just to have Team Rocket there.
They were having a relaxing day. They weren't even there to commit crimes this time. I actually feel bad for Meowth. He just wanted to relax in the sun, be a cat for a while, and he gets shot in the face with a flamethrower.
So we got 2 interludes here so close to each other that I just added them to one because I honestly... There's literally an interlude, like 2 seconds of something, and then another interlude. So I just put them all together. One of them features Farfetch'd, and the other one features Chansey. And that's it. They're just there doing a thing. I think Farfetch'd just walks back and forth, or like walks in a line or something. I don't know. Anyways, we see Pikachu and Raichu run through and knock out Hitmontop and Hitmonlee. That's actually in between the 2 interludes. That happens, so I just kind of threw it here.
Right.
Yep, and then they end up disturbing a Charizard, Ash's Charizard, who chases after them and ends up being penned. Chases after them, in which Pikachu and Raichu get penned down by a Snorlax. I forgot exactly how they got penned by the Snorlax. Did they like?
I think they ran into the Snorlax while they were running, and then the Snorlax rolled over on top.
Yeah.
I think I like looked away for a second, and all of a sudden they were under a Snorlax, and I was
you looked away for 1 second, and then suddenly we're in another interlude.
I'm trying to remember where the next one is that I have. Oh, yeah, there's another one coming up. Don't worry. I got you guys.
We're almost
So after they get pinned down by the Snorlax, Charizard catches up to them, but then gets his head stuck in a pipe. And then after that, we get another interlude, another weird few seconds I put. At this point, I asked myself, how high were the creators of this? So that was the point where I literally was like, what is happening? I don't even remember what that interlude was at that point. I just know that there was another one.
It's entirely irrelevant.
Yep. Charizard freaks out when it's stuck in there. The other Pokemon work to get him unstuck. They have no luck. Charizard cries. I get sad. The bully Pokemon laugh.
I did feel sad for Charizard.
Yep. Seeing a tear well up in Charizard's eye made me very sad.
But
I mean, he basically got cone of shamed.
100%. That is exactly what happened.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Pikachu then goes to reason with the Pokemon that are laughing at Charizard. So Raichu, Snubbull, Meryl. Am I forgetting? Cubone.
Cubone.
Yeah, that's the other one. They agree to help them get them unstuck, with the exception of Cubone.
Real quick, how easy was that? Like, first they're sitting there laughing at him, then Pikachu's like,
Yep.
PPP! And then they're like, okay, yeah, we'll help you out.
I mean, if
It's
Pikachu
that
came up to me
quick.
and said PPP, I would probably help him out with anything too.
Whatever you say, little Pikachu, let's do it.
Yeah.
See, I would need at least one Pika.
yeah. PPP,
Yeah,
that's not going to work
Pika
for me.
before you do anything. So the next part I have is that the Pokedex tells us that Cubone is typically only cares for itself, but literally right after we find that information out, Cubone decides that he's going to help get Charizard unstuck. So it felt kind of irrelevant to tell us that then, for then Cubone to immediately help.
I'm just saying, Cubone has led a tougher life than the rest of these Pokemon, and if he is a little emo, he's earned it, okay? Let's not give him too much of a hard time here.
Yeah, I love Cubone, okay? The moment in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee with the Cubone and Marowak gets me, but still, it was just so weird that like they tell us that Cubone's like normally like Cubone will only like think of itself and then immediately helps them out.
It's wearing the skull of its dead mother. Give him a break.
Well, I like to think that they can actually hear the Pokedex talking about them all the time. So he's helping out of spite.
You know what? That's a good point.
Fair.
And that would be very Cubone. Like, yeah, well, I'll show you. I'm going to go help these guys.
So he's doing it for himself still.
Yeah.
All right.
Doing the right thing out of spite is better than not doing the right thing.
Yep.
Absolutely true.
I guess. I
So
guess.
after Cubone decides to help, they get Charizard unstuck. They're all successful and sent flying away with all the force. And Charizard and one other Pokemon fly in the air, right? There's like another Pokemon, I think, like stuck to Charizard or something like that. Maybe it's Togepi or something. I don't know. But
yeah, one of the other ones flows up there. I don't remember what it was.
Ends up landing. Charizard ends up falling and landing on Meowth. So that was pretty funny. That Meowth was like literally in there just to get landed on.
Except Meowth had a bomb? Meowth, where did you get this bomb?
Yeah. That was
temporarily turned into an Acme cartoon, like.
I guess I didn't even mention that, but Jeff already said it earlier that Charizard like blows fire through the tube and it goes up and burns Meowth's face. I forgot about that part as well. Okay, Pokemon all cheer and work together to fix the park that basically Pikachu and Raichu destroyed because they're monsters.
Pocket.
They work together. They work together to destroy, to fix the destroyed park. After they fix it, they continue to enjoy their mini vacation, as they should have been doing the whole time. I put, and then the day ends. The trainers return to get their Pokemon. Pikachu says goodbye to his newly met friends and heads on his way back to meet with Ash and the other Pokemon. I meant to write Pikachu, but I wrote Ash jumps into Ash's arms, so I'm gonna just continue with that. And then we end with Ash asking if Pikachu is having fun, to which Pikachu obviously answers Pika, and then it ends. And that's Pikachu's vacation.
Shenanigans.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, even if you take out all the interludes, a lot happened in this brief short. Easily
20-minute.
Easily a whole episode's worth of content.
Yeah, this was definitely like a filler episode of Pokemon that they just threw at the beginning of this.
I will give it some credit for telling a compelling story. Compelling, I'll put in quotes. A compelling story using just characters that say their name. That is a little bit tougher to do. So some points for that.
I feel like that was probably a decision made because around this time is when you started getting Pixar movies in theaters, and Pixar movies almost always had some sort of a short before them.
Mm-hmm. I feel like kids movies, like theatrical kids movies, they really wanted to have shorts before them, which was kind of weird because they always made the movie short anyways, so that like kids would stay still the whole time. So it's weird that they would add more time to it. Like, this movie is only the Pokemon the First Movie. I think when I finished it, it was like an hour and like 17 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's like super short. But yeah, when you're a kid and you have a short attention span, that's fine to have a short movie like that, or when you have to watch this movie at 10 o'clock at night because you didn't get a chance to watch it anytime sooner than
Yeah,
that.
I'm an adult with a short attention span, so
So this was the right length for Jess.
it
So,
worked.
so what do you guys think of this? Like, do you have any other thoughts or opinions on this?
I love it. I really do. I mean, it's 100% nostalgia, but
Yep.
it's great.
Yeah,
And
I guess
I did want to just real quick shout out that Islam is the one who brought up on Twitter that we should do this, and so that's why we ended up doing the animated short, was because he brought it up and other people commented and replied to him asking us to do it. So we decided that
nice.
we were going to find it and do it.
Yeah, again, like I always love anytime we have Pokemon just being Pokemon with other Pokemon. You know,
Yep.
it's always fun to kind of, because all they're saying is their name. All they're
Yeah.
saying is their name over and over again, and you know, but they still do a really good job of tone and intention, which may be like a little bit too deep for that, but whatever.
No, but I mean,
It's
that's what I'm
fun.
talking about. Yeah, that's a cool thing that they can only do in these episodes where they take out the human characters. And you know, I'm with you. I think it's really cool to tell an entire story using entirely gibberish and have me
Yeah.
get to the end of it and still get it. You know?
Yeah, you understand what the plot of it is, even without words. So I think it was successful at that. Yeah, I think for me, like rewatching it, I definitely still enjoy it, but man, those interludes were just so weird still.
Oh, it's definitely much weirder as you're stopping to question things as an adult. You know, you don't do that as a kid. You're just like, this is what we're doing now.
Yep. Yep, there's just a weird little
Bellsprout. That's exactly what happened in the theater.
Yeah, so that is our little, you know,
Pikachu's vacation.
Yeah, our little like run through Pikachu's vacation. What did you guys think of it? Let us know in the comments. Let us know on Twitter if you guys enjoyed that movie as well too. But now let's move on to our main event here, Pokemon the First Movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. So, as we said before, this is, you know, huge moment for, I think, all of us when we were that age because the show was so popular. So it was so cool seeing this movie in theaters, and I am very excited to get to talk about it 22 years later, 21 years later on a podcast, or 22 years later on a podcast in my 30s. Okay.
Let's dive
the film
into
opens. Oh yeah. Yep. We're going to dive right into it. The film opens with the narration talking about life being both a miracle and mystery. We get whispers in the background of Mewtwo constantly saying, "Who am I?" over and over again. We flash over to Mewtwo waking up in a tank surrounded by scientists. He asks himself who he is, and if it's a dream. Mewtwo breaks out of his tube and speaks with the scientists, who inform him he is a clone of the legendary Mew. They celebrate the creation of Mewtwo, but Mewtwo gets upset that they don't even care about him. They care more about just that they were able to create a Pokemon. Mewtwo powers up and destroys the lab with his psychic abilities. We get a VO from the scientist saying, "We dreamed of creating the strongest Pokemon, and we succeeded." Mewtwo stands in the wreckage and is approached by Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket. Giovanni tells Mewtwo that together they will be unstoppable, and that Giovanni can help Mewtwo control his power. Mewtwo agrees to his terms. So that's the quick run through of the opening.
All great.
Yeah.
It's dark, it's serious, it's a little grittier than you're used to in the TV show. So it's just interesting enough to make it, you know, worthwhile. And it's classic monster movie stuff. Oh, what have we created? Oh my goodness.
And I think
how dare us play God?
You scientists were so concerned with whether or not you could. You didn't stop to think if you should. You know.
Yeah. I do like that in this movie we're already through the first paragraph of just like our breakdown of it, and Ash and them haven't even arrived yet. You know, like it's really cool that we don't even see Ash and them at the beginning of this movie until after the title card. But yeah, I love Mewtwo. Honestly, Mewtwo, I love the way that like they introduce Mewtwo. It makes me care more about like Mewtwo's struggle, because like Mewtwo was just created like out of nowhere, has no idea what's going on. And like all these people are just like, they only care about like the fact that they created a Pokemon. They don't care about the Pokemon itself.
Okay, which is pretty hype. Like, let's be real. Yeah. That's cool. They created a Pokemon.
Yeah.
A little congratulations are due, but like, you know, let's be nice to the Pokemon too, especially since you can, you know, hear you and communicate with you.
And
Yeah.
literally destroy the lab.
That was, I think, one thing for me that I was like, they're not making a big enough deal about the fact that they're having a conversation with this Pokemon.
Yeah.
And he's not saying
Conversation, too.
Mewtwo.
Yeah. Mew Mew.
I would thoroughly enjoy that.
Let's redub the movie and replace all of Mewtwo's lines with him saying Mewtwo, and then everyone
Mew.
responds to him just like normal.
Mew.
Have you guys
Mew,
ever
Mew.
seen? Have you guys ever seen Being John Malkovich?
Yes.
It's like the scene in the Malkovich. It's all the John Malkovich. Sorry, just made me think of that. Okay, we jump over to Mewtwo in his totally dope battle armor that is supposed to enhance his power. We are then treated to a montage of Mewtwo fighting a bunch of different Pokemon who don't stand a chance against him, including Gary and his Arcanine and Nidoking.
Which happened in
Mewtwo-
the show. So
Yeah.
cool
So
that
from
they
a
tied it
different
together.
angle,
Mhm.
it just shows it from Gary's point of view, right?
Yeah.
Is what they do? Yeah. Mewtwo is still full of self-doubt and questions. Giovanni tells him his purpose is to serve Giovanni. Mewtwo decides that he is going to take the advice of Godsmack and stand alone, I put, because he literally says, I stand alone. He then flies off, and as he flies off, the armor all falls off, and he heads back to the lab that he destroyed. We get a monologue from Mewtwo saying that no one will stand in his way, human nor Pokemon, and he will find his own purpose. The reign of Mewtwo is about to begin, and then we get the title card.
That is so much for an intro.
Right?
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah, and that's like what the first 7 minutes maybe of the movie. That entire like 2 paragraphs is like the first 7 minutes.
Yeah,
So there's a lot going on.
you can't blame Mewtwo for being angry at literally everyone when he's been basically mistreated and then betrayed
Yeah.
in his first few months of life.
I didn't even realize it until this watch through that the island that Mewtwo goes back to where the lab was where he makes his like tower. Like he just stays there and like makes it there. Like I had no idea that that's where it was.
So I feel like I knew that, and then I forgot it, and then when you said it right now, I'm like, oh no, I knew that.
Yeah, I like totally didn't know that. I don't know how I never knew that until this time watching it. Because I've seen this movie. I literally watched this movie like 3 weeks ago, probably.
Well, when we get to it, I have a question about this island, but I'll ask it when we get a little further on in the plot.
Jess, did you have something to say as well too?
No, I definitely did not realize that as a kid. That's one of those details that I didn't pick up on.
Yeah.
But watching it now, it's definitely, it's one of those things. Okay.
Yeah, like I totally thought he just went to some random other island and like made this tower, but no, he's just literally at like the grave of all the people he murdered. We also got to remember that he burnt that lab down and nobody survived that.
No, they all died.
Except for Giovanni.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Maybe he works like a homing pigeon, where he's like, "This is where I was born."
I just need to stay here.
He swam back upstream to spawn like a salmon.
Yeah.
he built his nest.
Okay, after the title card, we meet up with Ash, Brock, and Misty for the first time, like I said, in this movie. Ash is complaining about being hungry, as he's complaining about being hungry, another trainer arrives and challenges him. We get the Pokemon theme song, but it's a different version of the Pokemon theme song. It's like a more poppy version of the Pokemon theme song, but it's all of the same lyrics. Jeff, what were you going to say?
How hyped were you when this guy throws out his first Pokemon?
So that's what I was going to say. I have that in my notes. I just had a lot of spelling errors because, geez, was I tired when I watched this the other night. Ash, the Pokemon theme, and Ash agrees to fight the other trainer. We meet Donphan for the first time, which was awesome because that was another Pokemon we did not know anything about, really. And man, that like started my love affair for Donphan. I think Donphan is so cool.
Yep.
Like, just such a cool Pokemon.
He is wildly underutilized. You know what? Add him to the list. Give that man a Mega. Am I right, Dustin?
Yes. Listen, Game Freak, if you're listening to this episode after last week's episode,
thank you.
Bring back Mega Evolutions. Yeah, thank you. And bring back Mega Evolutions. So we meet Donphan. There's, we see other Pokemon. Ash's Pokemon that are wildly underpowered still manage to beat his really powerful Pokemon. Always, which never makes sense.
Pikachu beats 3 Pokemon at once, one of
Yes.
which is a rock type Pokemon, a ground rock type that
Squirtle uses Bubble to beat
Machamp.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That
But-
makes no sense to me.
So, all of that aside, my favorite thing about this whole battle was that the guy, when he shows up, he's like, hey, I'm looking for Ash from Pallet Town.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm Ash. So, people are talking about Ash like this kid's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool that, word is spreading about Ash as a trainer. Which,
Well, now if you think about it too, now like in the show, people do the same thing, but it's also because Ash is 40 years old and is still dressing up as a 10-year-old and still battling as if he's not 40
they're
years
like,
old.
did you hear about this kid Ash from Pallet Town? He's actually 40.
Yeah, he just does not look it.
I don't even think he knows he's 40 though, so treat him like a child.
Yeah. During the battle, we get some clips that look like they're being filmed through a camera, they're like a little grainy and stuff like that, so it appears as if they're being recorded by somebody as the battle's going on. Ash inevitably wins, and my favorite, I put this in my notes, but the best part of the battle is the other trainer like grabbing his head and going, "Oh!" And it's so funny.
Your mic peaked on that one, buddy.
Oh, good. And he just says, "Oh no," but he like screams it, and it's just so funny. And then this is where we get introduced to Jesse, James, and Meowth, and they're once again trying to find a way to steal Pikachu. Ash, Brock, and Misty are eating, and then we get a shot that appears to be a control room with someone watching them. There's a woman assistant in the room, and she asks, Master, would you like me to send them an invitation? As well, the person sitting in the chair, obviously Mewtwo, just waves his hand, and she says, like, right away.
With his 3 finger balls.
Yeah, his weird little finger ball things. You definitely know who it is. And then the assistant sends out the best derpy boy, Dragonite, to bring them an invitation. Listen, I love Dragonite, one of my favorite Pokemon, but the design for Dragonite is still, every time, gets me.
Well, I love it. They gave him a little messenger bag and a hat.
So cute.
Yeah,
So
and then he
good.
just like flies super fast over there.
And he's like,
Awesome.
Brr! That's like the noise he makes.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay, let's see, where did I, sorry. Waves his hands in response to sorry, I gotta find where I was. It features a video message of the assistant informing them they're being invited to a special gathering hosted by the world's greatest Pokemon trainer, and only those with an invitation can attend. Ash agrees, and the gangs head to the port to catch a ferry there.
Okay, so I love that you've got this like holographic invitation where this, Princess Leia style turns out to be Nurse Joy, is like,
Whoa,
please come to
spoilers.
this island, blah, blah, blah. Future spoilers, right? 5-minute spoilers. And then the reply is just like a middle school style, like, do you like me? Yes,
Yes
no.
or no? Yeah, sure. See you there.
Just check the box.
I'm a 10-year-old. I will happily come visit you, mysterious stranger.
Look, we spent our budget on invitations.
Yeah. Listen, the hologram technology in the 90s is very expensive.
There was no money
You're
left
gonna have
over
to
for the
send us
reply
back a
card.
letter. Yeah. It's actually just a piece of paper ripped out of a notepad from a kid's school book we got. Can you just write yes or no?
Probably from the notebook of a child who lived on that island he blew up to make this.
Yeah. He took it from the wreckage. Okay. Mewtwo, showing off, waves his hand and creates a storm, and then we are then treated to the most adorable Pokemon in the film, Mew, as it awakens from its slumber in the water. Which, God, Mew is so cute. Like, I just need to stop there and just say how cute Mew is.
Every time,
Absolutely love Mew.
every time I watch this movie, I think, is Mew the cutest Pokemon?
I think it has to be.
Like
Like, it
easily
has
top
to be.
5, but like Mew might be number 1.
Yeah, like, and then the sounds it makes too in this are just adorable. Like,
So good.
Now it makes me
So
wish
cute.
that Mewtwo, talked, but like was this
Mew.
big, but talked like,
Mew.
but talked like Mew's. Mew.
As a clone.
Yes, because he's a clone. So,
Jeez.
Okay.
Okay.
so this is where I need to ask my question. So, first of all, they call this island New Island.
New Island. Yes, they
New
do.
Island.
That is very original.
Is it a new
It's
island?
like new. It's like it is like new Pokemon Snap, which comes out this month.
Is so like my question was: is this a new island? Like, how new is it? Because like obviously there was this.
How new is New York?
Okay,
What's
fair,
the year?
fair. But so
obviously, when it was a secret lab, it was a secret island, right? Nobody knew it existed.
you would think, except they have a ferry that goes there, and that's why all these people are here.
They have a ferry that goes to New Island.
Right, that's this island, right?
But maybe they never had a ferry that went to Science Secret Island.
Oh, so we're saying that they're going to New Island.
Yes,
which is actually a different island altogether.
No. It's the same island, but they didn't have a ferry service that ran there when it was Secret Island. It was Mewtwo that was like, hey, have this ferry come to this island.
I need a ferry here because for all the people who live here, it's going to be cost effective. But I'm also going to create a
storm so that they cannot take the ferry here.
Okay, so that was one question. Was what they had a ferry there. So how often was the ferry running? Did they not notice that everything on the island had been blown up and then restructured into a tower? And
I don't know. Jeff, your brother does say in the chat that it is for the tourists.
It's for the tourists. You're right. I had a lot of issues this time around with this that I did not have as a child.
I mean, if you're going to question that, if you start questioning this movie, it all falls apart. Where did he get the resources to create a stadium? Where did he get electricity to run the lights for the stadium and for everything else?
I have an answer for that. Propeller. He has propellers for energy, but also
he has 2 wind turbines.
He had the materials because he destroyed everything else on the island, so then he could just recycle stuff.
He disintegrated it.
It's the rule of alchemy.
Law of equivalent exchange. Yeah. Believe it or not, I was talking with my dad about the law of equivalent exchange over dinner tonight.
You're like, hey, Dad, you like Full Metal Alchemist?
We were talking about the chemical makeup of humans, and I was like, I know this. Continue, Dustin.
Sorry.
I have questions.
That broke me. So Mew awakens from the slumber in the water. Ash and the gang then arrive at the pier, and there's a bunch of other trainers sheltering from the storm that Mewtwo had created. They learn that the ferry has been canceled, and then they're informed, I guess, by a mystic harbor master lady, who's very she's a mix of a weather, I don't know,
she's a weather person, but also a prophet.
Yeah, and has an accent. But I don't know if you guys have seen the remake of this, but I don't think they gave her an accent in the Netflix one. I can't remember.
I gotta say, the accent gives her authority.
Yeah, I guess so.
She sounds like she knows what she's talking about when she says, "You cannot go out there right now, guys. This is a serious storm." She sounds very knowledgeable. Probably the smartest character in the whole movie, if we're being real.
But then she's like, "Oh, Pokemon trainers are so resilient that nothing can stop them. This is just another test for them." And is all happy-go-lucky. These kids are gonna die in this water. It's just...
Yeah, I kind of wondered now if she was an actual person or if she's just a construct that Mewtwo created.
A very good possibility.
Maybe. She does tell them that this is there's a storm. Sorry, it's the storm of the century, and there's a legend about a storm that will wipe out people and Pokemon. The trainers don't like the answer and still want to travel to the island, so they take out all their Pokemon and find a way to get there. Not all the trainers do this, but a handful of them, which I actually just read this in the notes and I didn't add it. There's another trainer who gets on a Pharaoh to go to the island and is never seen again in the movie.
Oh, you're right. So the Pharaoh
even
is
at the end when they're
dead.
back, even at the end when they're back at the port, that trainer is not there.
Well, he died in the storm, so
they died. That trainer and the Pharaoh died in the storm on the way. So let's take a moment of silence for that trainer that died on its way to New Island.
R.I.P. Pharaoh guy.
R.I.P. Pharaoh guy. Okay, so before we leave, we also learn that the nurse of the Pokemon Center went missing. So if anything happens to the Pokemon, there's no one to heal them when they get back. That's foreshadowing, everybody. If you could. It's so obvious who the assistant is in this movie that it's not even they don't even try.
Okay, but it wasn't obvious when you were a kid.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
I mean,
not
it was.
anymore,
It was.
so okay.
I like to say that it was obvious enough as a child that when I got it, I was like, yeah, I got it. I figured it out. Like it was just challenging enough that the kids could feel a little like, smart when they solved the mystery. But of course, as an adult, it's like, oh yeah, no, that's. And by the way, if anybody sees missing Nurse Joy, please let us know. We're looking for this woman, Nurse Joy. She looks like this.
Every other Nurse Joy.
You know that invitation that you received? Every one of you has one of these invitations. Just like that woman, Nurse Joy.
Yeah.
Who could it be?
She looks like her, but not wearing robes, wearing a nurse's outfit.
Different hat.
If you find her, please.
Different hat.
See, it's because the hair loops are gone.
Yes.
So it's a totally different person.
Well, and I got to say,
Fair.
sometimes people change their hairstyles. It really does make them into a completely different person. That is believable.
I mean, listen, we're living in a world right now where everybody has to wear a mask. So, like, people definitely don't recognize people just with that part of their face covered. So if you change your hair, forget about it. It's easy to mix them up. All right.
I did also want to comment on how much
yes.
coastal destruction Mewtwo would have caused by these tidal waves, and like we don't even talk about that. I mean,
nope.
Huge waves crashing.
Yeah.
Erosion. Erosion is not a joke.
I don't want to say that Mewtwo's a terrorist, but Mewtwo might be a terrorist.
100% a terrorist. 100% a terrorist. Blew up a building, killed a bunch of scientists and stuff there, and then comes back to the island to eliminate the rest of the island because
Yeah.
Mewtwo's the original flag smasher.
I was thinking that too, but I didn't want to say anything. Okay, so all of the trainers. Oh, go ahead. Jess, you have something else to say?
Oh, there was a little bit more foreshadowing we missed when she was talking about the storm of the century. She mentioned how badly people were hurt. I think. I don't know. She said it really quickly, but she mentions like the Pokemon's tears brought everybody. Yeah.
Oh yes. I did forget about that. Yes. Also more foreshadowing. So stay tuned for the rest of this episode to find out where that leads you. Okay. So yeah, the trainers start to use their Pokemon to head over to the island. We see someone ride on a Gyarados. We see someone hop on a Pidgeot. Someone, I think. What's the other one? Is it?
As Dugong.
Dugong. Yep. That's it. Yeah, I could not remember what the water Pokemon was that they used. And Ash and company basically decide that their Pokemon aren't really strong enough to take them there because they have a Staryu, Squirtle, and like a Goldeen. Is that their options?
I mean, Misty definitely had a Starmie as well, right?
No.
Didn't she have Staryu and Starmie?
One of the two. I'm not sure.
In the movie, she only ever used Staryu, but I thought I remembered in the show that she had one of each.
Maybe.
But I might be conflating what Pokemon they had in the gym in the game with what Pokemon she had in the show. It's been a while.
She needed a Lapras. That's all that matters. That's the real crux of this all.
Instead, they hitch a ride with some very well disguised people.
Yep. I was gonna say they some Vikings greet them who are totally not Team Rocket, and they agree to get on the basically get on their Viking ship and go to the island. We get an amazing joke about Vikings being from Minnesota.
Yes.
Like it's so good. I chuckle every time at that. And I put that in my notes. I said it makes me laugh every time.
I agree. It's one of the best jokes in the movie. And that is one of those jokes that I'm like, there's no way that's in the Japanese version of this movie.
Oh, yeah. 100% not. It's even in the show notes that it's totally in regards to the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, yeah, like, obviously.
Yeah. But the joke for anybody who didn't actually watch the movie and is watching this, Brock says, I didn't know that Vikings were still a thing. And Ash says, yeah, they mainly live in Minnesota. And it just gets me every time. It's so funny. So as they're going out there, the storm rages on and the waves hit, revealing that Team Rocket or the Vikings are actually Team Rocket. Shocked. We were all shocked at this moment. I know you guys were shocked. I couldn't believe it either.
Didn't see it coming.
Yep. And then they're all thrown overboard in the storm, and then Ash and company, Brock and Misty, have to use their Pokemon to basically get the rest of the way to the island. They have to swim underwater for a bit to avoid the storm, and they barely make it to the island and end up in the eye of the storm. How do we feel about the what was I going to say here? Like the first look at the tower that we get here, because this is where I put a break in to talk about what we think of like getting a first look at Mewtwo's tower and all that he made from the wreckage of the destroyed lab.
Okay, so one of the things that I noticed about it is, and I don't know, maybe I'm just in like an alien's mindset, but when Mewtwo had his armor initially, the helmet made his head look like a xenomorph head.
Yes.
It was very
Yep.
long. And this architecture reminds me of xenomorph architecture.
I could see that.
It's
The-
very organic.
So one of the other pieces of trivia was talking about how any of the like CG moments in this movie weren't actually in the original Japanese version. And I know that like there's some of the architecture that looks a little bit more like computer generated or like scenes like that. And I thought that was kind of interesting. That I just wonder. I want to watch the Japanese version of this film to see what's different.
I'm really curious what they did with the story.
Yeah, because like the overarching thing has to be the same. Like they didn't like reanimate the whole movie.
No,
to make
it's
it
like
different.
it's just completely different lines. Like they get there and Mewtwo's like, "Hey guys, glad you could make
Oh, why are you
it.
attacking me? I'm just borrowing your Pokemon.
Oh, it's so good to see you guys. Oh, fist bump, Ash."
Oh man, I sent you flying. Good thing you was there to catch you.
Completely different movie.
Yeah. Okay, so they arrive at the island. They learn right away. Basically, the island is right in the eye of a storm, like I said. It's no longer raining there. They're greeted by Mewtwo's assistant, who's totally not Nurse Joy, I put, and then Brock immediately recognizes her as Nurse Joy. So that's
Yeah, that sure looks a lot
basically
like
how-
Nurse Joy.
yeah. Brock being his typical like creepy self.
Can't quite put my finger on why she looks like Nurse Joy.
Oh wait, didn't they say Nurse Joy was missing? Couldn't be her.
That was on the mainland.
Yeah, this is New Island. Nobody from the mainland lives here. They present the invitation and head inside. We see Mew arrive as well, and it plays on the windmill, which is the cutest thing in the world. I put that as well.
This is my favorite bit. It
Yep.
is my favorite Pokemon moment probably ever. If I could get a
it's-
perpetual motion machine that just did that, I would be so happy.
Oh man,
It's-
that would be cool.
Yeah, I want that as like my moving screensaver or whatever. Like
Yeah.
to just have that repeatedly of just that happening. That would be really good. The gang gets inside and meets all the other trainers that made it. I don't actually know the trainers' names. I don't think they ever
It's
say
not
it in the
important.
movie. The notes and like the plot things say it on other sites, but
Okay, so I'm sure you're probably about to bring it up, but first I want to touch on how pompous all these trainers are. Like
Yeah.
immediately, they're so rude. Like Ash made it
one
as
of them
well.
is literally an ace trainer. Like he's literally like the character design of an ace trainer who
Right.
always
Okay. So here's
struck
my
me
thing,
as, like, the most
particularly with
pompous.
Ace Trainer. Ace Trainer is like, oh yeah, I just flew over on my Pidgeotto. I'm so
it's a
smart.
Pidgeot.
It's a Pidgeot.
Yeah.
Like, you're the Ace Trainer. You don't even know what the name of the Pokemon you got there. And so like, I'm either blaming him, Ace Trainer, because he's a jerk,
Yeah.
but I'm also really mad externally at the writers of this movie. How on earth did you not catch that? And this is one of like 7 times they
I
misidentify
was gonna
Pokemon
say-
in this movie.
I was gonna say there's another time I don't even have it in the show notes, but it hurt me deep
I'm
in my
sure
core.
I have it.
It hurt me deep in my core when Team Rocket calls Scyther Alakazam.
Alakazam. Oh my goodness. I was so mad.
Like, do you think it was maybe on purpose to show that they don't know the Pokemon because they're doing who's that Pokemon and then
You
they
know,
get it wrong?
I might have given them credit for that thought, Dustin, if they hadn't misnamed the Pidgeot earlier in the movie. Because you see that and you're like, no, you guys, you're barely paying attention to this movie that you're writing the English version of. But yeah, so you have overconfident guy bragging about his Pidgeotto, and then you have another overconfident guy who's like, oh, I only have water-type Pokemon. Like,
And he wears like a tank top and shorts and biking gloves.
it was super easy for me because I only have water-type Pokemon. Okay, but you're definitely going to lose in any battle
Put over
against...
on Gyarados back.
Like, there's no way you're going to be a Pokemon master. Sorry, guy. You have to have more than one type. It's not doable.
Pikachu alone could beat your whole team.
He'd wipe the whole team. He
Yeah.
would wipe the whole team in one shot.
As we saw earlier in the movie when Pikachu wiped out 3 Pokemon in one
Right.
shot.
Rant over. But yeah, these trainers are dumb. I cannot believe they survived
Yes.
the storm.
Okay, but I feel like if you're going to be that level of Pokemon trainer, you're kind of like that anyway. Ash is kind of like that. Ash is nicer about it, so he's very complimentary to the other trainers when they are all in the room. Like, oh wow, it's real hard to train a Gyarados. Like, kind of like offering up.
That's true. He does say that. That made me laugh really hard because I was like, no, it's not. It's so easy to train a Magikarp to level 20, whatever it is, 25. You just keep it in your party with experience share on. Done. You got a
Or put, it in
Gyarados.
your, or put it in your first slot and then just switch it out anytime you
Swap
start
it out.
like,
It's like-
yeah.
But Ash is like, oh, it's really tough. Good job, buddy. You're
But
absolutely right.
you know, they're all cocky. They're all
That's true.
very
You're
cocky.
right. Pokemon Masters are cocky. I definitely would be a cocky jerk too.
Yeah. At this point,
As
they're
if
all
I'm
told
not a
to-
cocky jerk as it is.
At this point, they're all told to release their Pokemon from their Pokeballs so that they can kind of just like have all their Pokemon hang out. They meet the other trainers' Pokemon. They see all the other Pokemon they have again, which there's a Scyther there, which is, you know, obviously the best Pokemon there is. So that's all I needed in this movie. It could pretty much end right now and I'd be fine. But it doesn't. It keeps going. So Nurse Joy tells them to await the host's arrival. We see Team Rocket arrive at the island, and they look for a way to sneak in. Ash and company I already had that part. Oh, and their Pokemon. After they're introducing each other, the room goes dark, and Nurse Joy introduces Mewtwo as he makes his entrance down, and he like comes down like from up above, which another like very like Jesus moment of like a beam of light, like Mewtwo coming down, like hovering down.
So this is one of the first times in the movie that really sticks out to me, but I do want to. It happens multiple times, but the score for this movie is actually pretty good. This,
Yeah.
I don't think they had to go that hard on the score for Pokemon the First Movie, but they did, and now I as an adult appreciate it. So thank you.
We should also talk about the fact that, again, if you have not listened to Pokemon the First Movie soundtrack, please go listen to it now. You will thank me later. So, okay, next we see Team Rocket sneaking through, I guess, the sewers or just like a water. I don't even know what it is. There's just like water going through, and they're sneaking through that to get inside the building. They're being followed by Mew. Mew is like kind of like jokingly like following behind them and like all just continuing to be the best. Like the best part of this movie by far is Mew.
100%. Also, I just want to point out that this upcoming scene where they find the ladder that goes up to the actual palace, whatever, just a great job on the perspective change. It looked weirdly impressive.
Yeah, I think this is one of those moments that might have had like some weird computer assistance in the animation because it's like, wow, this was really good.
It's where $4 million of the $5 million budget for this movie
was for this ladder.
Yeah. The trainers learn that the world's strongest trainer is also the world's strongest Pokemon. They find out that Mewtwo has been speaking through Nurse Joy. One of the trainers tries to attack Mewtwo, but is severely underpowered. Mewtwo releases Nurse Joy from her mind control, and as he no longer finds her useful. Team Rocket discovers a Pokemon cloning lab hidden in the island. But before they can get the they discover the cloning lab hidden in the center of the island, but not before. I phrased that wrong. Whatever. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that they were able to clone Meowth.
Yep. It grabs Meowth, pulls a couple of hairs from his tail.
We also see other Pokemon sleeping in the incubation chambers. Mainly, we see Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard sleeping in there. So that was kind of cool. It's basically just showing that the Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard that we're going to see later in the movie aren't clones of the ones that, like, they aren't a clone of Ash's and the other two. Brute, and Shell Shocker. Or the Brute or Brute Root?
I thought it was Brute.
Brute,
and Shell Shocker, which are great names, by the way.
And this marks the first time, anytime in any Pokemon ever, that any Pokemon has had a nickname in my memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just
super.
Just these two. The rest of their Pokemon they don't have nicknames for, but those two.
Yeah. They just need Brute, and Shell Shocker.
So
which are great.
Maybe the actors had a hard time saying the names.
Brute?
No. Maybe the actors had a hard time saying like Blastoise and Venusaur.
No, it's definitely harder to say Brute than Venusaur.
It's not. But
we had to debate what the name was. None of us were positive what they said.
I watch everything with subtitles, which makes it way more interesting when all the Pokemon start saying.
I have this movie on Blu-ray, and it does not have the subtitles.
Okay, so it says, what does it say? like
It's Brew, like Broo, Brew.
Oh,
oh, see, yeah, that's completely different than what I heard.
huh, okay.
See, this is what I'm
heard
talking about.
I heard Brute Root, but Brew works too.
Brew
Okay,
and Shell Shocker.
Rocket then learns about Mewtwo's creation from some old videos. Again, this is where I realized that it was the island.
Right.
Was like all the old videos. I was like, oh, how did I never notice this before? I've seen this movie like countless times as a kid. I never noticed that this was like the videos that they would have had left over from the lab. I also watched this movie like 2 months ago or a month ago, whatever, and I didn't notice it then either. Good.
No, I'm just thinking about it, and it again, because that data had to have been destroyed. Had to. Like,
Yeah.
it's, that whole island blew up.
Okay, but we do see,
Nothing left.
I mean, future spoilers, Mewtwo has some pretty insane time manipulation abilities. So maybe he just like reverted the data tapes or whatever. I don't know.
Very curious about it as well too, because he did destroy the whole island, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It's a stretch.
It's fun to be able to hear that line again and to see like the chaos in the background of the screen and these scientists, their tomfoolery.
Okay, what did I have here next? So they learned about the creation from the videos. We learned Mewtwo's plan is to use the storm to destroy the world to make room for his own world. Mewtwo then attacks. What was I? What? I don't know what I put there. I don't think I meant to put that there. One of the other trainers basically tries to fight Mewtwo and just fails miserably. Like, it does not work at all.
It's when he attacks with Gyarados, right? The guy attacks with Gyarados.
Yes.
And then
and like Mewtwo like lifts Gyarados and just tosses him.
This is a great time to mention that Gyarados is a total mouth breather.
Man, I didn't want to say anything, but
yeah.
Shut your mouth, Gyarados. What are you doing,
yeah,
man?
yeah. You just like, that's all you gotta do.
Frankly, he's very lucky that he's a water type, because otherwise his tongue would dry out from breathing through his mouth all the time.
Yeah, seriously.
His breath is probably terrible.
Halitosis like crazy.
So after that part, Ash decides to challenge Mewtwo to a match. And at the same time, down in the lab below, we see the clone versions of Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur wake up. And like, and then Mewtwo leads the trainers to a special stadium where he's basically going to use his Pokemon to fight their Pokemon.
Right. So this is where the Pokemon are coming out of their birthing pods, right?
Correct. Yeah, where they just like literally morph through the wall.
Right. And so when that
With the
happens,
noises.
I wanted to ask Jessica, because I know that she's also a big fan. Did you get some like Spirited Away Miyazaki vibes from them coming through the birthing tubes, like when they like phase through the walls? That was like the first thing that jumped into my mind.
With the spirit stuff that gets all over them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
It had the same noise too. It was a terrible noise. I was not.
So I mean, I kind of like it. I don't know how they could explain the science of that they have some sort of self-healing tube.
So squishy. I just
Jackson in the chat says, finally an important topic on this cinema or on this show, cinema. Okay, so they Mewtwo leads the trainers to the stadium. His clone Pokemon show up. We see, let's see, what did I have here? Oh yeah, Charizard tries to just straight up roast Mewtwo and fails miserably. Just, cocky Charizard trying to do its thing. Ash's Charizard is so notorious for like trying to just be the bad boy and like
meanwhile Squirtle, the true legitimate bad boy Pokemon of this group, is cool as a cucumber. Smart guy. Cool. I'm gonna get roasted by Jackson for the cucumber comment. Guarantee
it's because he's not wearing his sunglasses, so obviously he's he's a little bit more chill now. I even had Brute Root in the comments, so I'll have to change it to Brew Brew. We see Venusaur fight Brew Brew and immediately just beat Brew Brew. Like, it's not even a challenge. I think it's like 1 or 2 hits.
Yeah.
And then he's knocked out.
They go flying.
Blastoise, then uses his clone Blastoise to just wipe the floor with Shell Shocker. The only fight here that actually lasts at all is Ash's Charizard versus Mewtwo's Charizard. I think it's Ash tells him to like stay in the sky, right, and like
Use the speed, I think.
yeah, use your speed, and they fight in the sky for a little bit. I really like this part. They like fly up and like fight in front of the moon. It looks really cool. And then Mewtwo's Charizard just uses Seismic Toss.
Which is why the moon thing is even cooler, because that's exactly what the animation is in the game when you do Seismic Toss. So I was like, oh my god, this is so cool.
And just completely just smashes Charizard into the ground. Let's see, what do I have here? Mewtwo, being the victor, declares that he's now taking all of the trainer's Pokemon as his prize so he can make clones to live in his new perfect world with him. The Pokemon try to escape their capture, but one by one they're slowly captured. The only one that's left is Pikachu. Ash runs up the spiral thing to try to follow Pikachu to get Pikachu. He even talks about putting him in his Pokeball so that he doesn't
get captured. This is another grumpy adult Jeff moment. What is supporting this gigantic slide? There is no support structure underneath any of this. It's just a big floating slide.
Just magic?
Is it magic?
Why do they have self-healing pipes, Jeff? Why do they have self-healing pipes?
You know what, Jess? That's a good point. No, you got me.
It's the organic architecture.
It's the organic architecture, so it floats. No, you're right. I didn't think about that. You're absolutely right.
It's all weird.
But props to Ash for being able to run up a slide.
Right?
Well, also, is it a slide? Because when Ash is on it, it looks like stairs.
But it's like a weird kind of like curved, it's not quite stairs, but it's, I don't know. It reminded me of like the slides at the playground when you were a kid that have like built-in ridges into the slide so that you can't go too fast down the slide. You know what I'm talking about?
To be fair, that's a really big slide, so it would help to have some. Although there's no side rails, he'd go over.
No, you would die 100%. You're dead.
Yeah, think of it. It's like the rainbow roads that don't have edges, and you like always go off the edge because
I was just wondering what the point of it was, because Mewtwo comes down the middle of it, like he can float, so he doesn't need it.
I would have.
Who's the slide for?
Jeff, focus. I think the reason he has the slide is for fun. When nobody else is watching, that's how he goes down. But when people are there, he's like, I'm just gonna like float down like Jesus.
He's got to be a hard guy here.
Yeah.
Oh, this will scare the poop out of him. I'll float down.
He's got to look hard as he like hovers down. But when no one's around, he just slides down the slide, and he's like, man, I'm just gonna hover back up and
the whole
slide
time
down the
he's
slide
floating.
again.
He's thinking, I can't wait till these guys get out of here. I'm gonna slide down these so fast.
I can't wait to show my clone Pokemon my sweet slide.
They're gonna love this slide.
Okay, so eventually Pikachu gets captured. Ash catches the ball and falls down into the water. The ball then gets like taken away because they like all float. The like Pokeballs he uses like float away on their own. Ash runs and like slides down the hole. And speaking of slides, goes down a slide that takes him to the cloning lab where all the Pokemon are.
Which really does back up this whole Mewtwo loves slides theory.
Exactly.
Can't argue with the evidence.
You're a thinker, Dustin. That is, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. Got to do something sometimes, and I think about Pokemon all the time. So
and their affinity for slides.
Exactly. Okay, so all of the clone Pokemon. This is still added on to the other one. Ash catches Pokemon. He falls down to the cloning lab. He's able to essentially free all the Pokemon.
So before he frees them all, though, we get Team Rocket. Yes. They're in there watching all these Pokemon get cloned, and this is when the greatest travesty of the movie occurs. When Scyther appears on screen.
Who's that Pokemon?
Alakazam!
It would have been such a good callback to the show if it had worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love them playing Who's That Pokemon? I thought that was really clever and fun. But then it's just like, oh my god, no, that's not Alakazam. Those are clearly not spoons in his hands. He doesn't have hands.
And listen, as Scyther's number one fan,
it's fine.
Knifey Spoony.
And they're losing.
They're losing so hard. Okay, so all the clone Pokemon then eventually like come out of their chambers and start to head up, and then Ash basically like destroys the cloning machine and it frees all of the Pokemon. We then segue to up above where all of the clone Pokemon show up. Mewtwo basically says these are his Pokemon. let's see. Mewtwo tells the humans that he's sparing them for the moment. Ash then arrives right after that with all of the original Pokemon.
That's a cool moment when Ash comes out of the smoke.
He walks out of the smoke with all the Pokemon behind him,
all
and it's
the
like
Pokemon.
drum,
Yes, and the music kicked in there. That score was perfect.
Very hype.
Very hype. And then what does Ash do? Instead of asking any of the Pokemon to battle, he charges Mewtwo himself and throws a punch.
Leaders lead.
I literally have in my notes, Ash then for some reason no one will ever understand tries to go toe to toe with Mewtwo, who sends Ash flying.
He's 10, man. What do you want? He doesn't know.
After Ash is sent flying, he's caught by Mew. Mew creates like a little bubble for Ash to land on. And what did I have here? Sorry, I gotta find it. It's a lot. Mewtwo then decides he needs to prove he's more powerful than just a clone or more than just a clone by defeating Mew. Obviously, Mew thinks it's just playtime. Mew just wants to play. That's all Mew wants to do. Eventually, Mewtwo shoots a blast at Mew and hits Mew and sends Mew flying. And then, from out of frame, Mew sends a blast back and hits Mewtwo. And I love that part too.
Mew's not playing anymore.
So I 100% ruined this movie for Jake last night because I have decided that Mew is the Mr. Rogers Pokemon, and created dialogue. I created dialogue in my Mr. Rogers voice of Mew being like, "Hey, now, do we have to fight? Let's all just be friends."
No, you're right. That's his whole approach.
Well, Jess. So in my notes here, I basically have Mew tells Mewtwo Pokemon's real strength come from the heart, which is something Mr. Rogers would say.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so funny. That's very true. Mew just doesn't want to have anything to do with the fighting.
And then the fight gets serious, and Mr. Rogers, takes the sweater off, and he's like, "All right, let's do this. I will turn a child to stone. Let's do this."
Right. So Mew tells Mewtwo that strength comes from the heart. Mewtwo doesn't care and decides to have his clone Pokemon attack the original Pokemon. He blocks all their powers off. And basically tells them that, or is like, we'll see what their real strength is without their powers. And it's at this moment that the "Brother My Brother" song that makes me tear up every time starts to play.
This song, I love this song.
It's a lot.
It was my favorite. It was my favorite from the soundtrack.
Then the Pokemon all fight to this really sad song that's playing in the background. That's like a weird pop, sad song. The Pokemon basically start to get really tired and they're seriously hurting each other. It's at this moment too where I was watching this one time and I was like, wait, everyone's really oh no, Pokemon aren't supposed to fight like this. It's like you literally breed Pokemon to fight each other.
This is what you do to them all the time. This battle has more purpose than any of the battles you've put them through before. They're fighting for existence.
And you juxtapose this with the fight at the beginning where everyone was getting just as beat up.
Yeah, and they're playing the Pokemon theme song and it's happy-go-lucky, and then it's not until you really start to see the Pokemon get really tired and worn out that you're okay, this does kind of suck.
Yeah.
You're literally these Pokemon are gonna fight till their death, but just by being so tired.
And they can't go to the Pokemon Center because Nurse Joy's here.
Exactly. So I don't know what they're gonna do. All the trainers say that the Pokemon were never meant to fight like this. Meowth makes amends with its clone and realizes they're basically the same.
I kind of love this moment with Meowth and the clone because it's all the other Pokemon are good Pokemon that have been turned into evil Pokemon, right? They got evil clones. Meowth, evil Pokemon, gets cloned, and his clone's whatever, man, let's chill. You and I just hang out and watch the fights, bro. We're gonna have a great
Or it also
time.
could just be because it's a cat, and cats are just basically like that and don't really do what they're told anyways. So they just kind of
valid point.
Yeah, that's kind of how I thought of it as well. Okay, where was I here? Let's see. I had a note here. Sorry, this is a long one. Up above, Mewtwo and Mew continue to fight. We see Pikachu. This is where the music kicks into a different more sad song. It's a really sad, depressing song that's playing in the background, and we see Pikachu being attacked by a clone. Pikachu refuses to fight back as the other Pikachu's just slapping him. And this is the part where I'm man, This part gets me every single time.
Okay. So like it's if you've been listening to the show or watching the show, you know that Dustin and I have this ongoing thing about me hating Pikachu and him hating Eevee and all that stuff. Throw that all out during the scene. I am so proud of our guy Pikachu. Turning
he
the
just
other
literally
turning the
stands
other
there and
electrified cheek repeatedly.
he just stands there and gets
Repeatedly.
slapped constantly by the clone.
But you know,
It's-
this is another
it's
thing.
heartbreaking.
If I do have one small complaint about the way the Pokemon Company did this movie here, every other clone sounds exactly like the Pokemon they're fighting against, except for Pikachu's clone, because we have to keep Pikachu separate from everybody else. Pikachu's clone says Pikachu instead of Pikachu.
That's the aggression.
Pikachu.
Pikachu!
No, you know what? But this is another one of those instances where, like, you know, it's Pokemon. They're not talking; they're saying their name. But it's that tone.
Oh, you
You
know
know, that
exactly
you-
what they're
you-
saying.
You know exactly what you can see. Emo Pikachu being like, "Stop it! Just fight with me!" You know,
Yeah.
Fight
You
me.
can fight.
Yeah,
me,
and then they
bear,
like start to like
fight
it
me,
like
bear."
literally starts to cry as it's like slapping
Oh,
the other
God.
And the
Pikachu.
slap slows down. Ugh.
Yeah, where did I put here? I said this is the second time I tear up in this part alone, just like this whole end section. Where did I have here? This is the second time I tear up. In order to try and stop the fighting, Ash decides to take a stand and try to stop it. He runs right into the middle of the stadium just as Mewtwo and Mew are about to clash and gets trapped right in the middle between the two Pokemon. Ash has turned to stone and appears to be dead. So
Okay,
Ash just straight up dies.
I tear up shortly after this moment. That's we're
Yes.
coming to it. But man,
Yeah,
I was
so-
even as a kid and even as an adult, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
If this had been the finale of the series, just imagine if they had just straight up killed Ash and ended Pokemon right there.
So
To
This
be
is-
fair, you can't take a hit like that and be the same. There's probably
Yeah.
a reason Ash is still dead.
You know what?
It's
That's
because he
probably
got
why
hit
he's
by-
freaking immortal 10-year-old is because of this moment right here.
So yeah, Ash appears to be dead. All the Pokemon stop fighting when they see Ash basically laying there
God.
lifeless. And Pikachu goes to try to wake up Ash and is essentially electrocuting him,
And-
starts to cry.
and
We see
now
the
I'm
really
crying.
sad shot. Yeah.
He does
We
the
see the
Lion
super
King
sad
thing.
shot where the sad shot with like the tears coming down his face. All the other Pokemon start to cry. And this is where the foreshadowing comes full circle and all of the Pokemon tears fly over and hit Ash and basically resurrect Ash. Ash is no longer dead.
That's writing.
Yay.
That is writing right
Yeah.
there, guys. Classic.
Yeah.
Full
Pokemon
circle.
tears. Yep, full circle. We were set up earlier. We knew about it. We just didn't remember it. Bam! They just hit us with it here at the end.
So if you
Um,
question it, they have to be like, "No, we told you."
We told you this was a thing in Legends past.
Jackson in the chat just said cinema.
Yes, this is cinema. When the tears revive our stone friend. On one actual legitimate serious commentary on this,
Yeah.
I think this scene could have been just this much more emotional if all of Ash's other Pokemon had run to him
Mm.
at the same time that Pikachu ran to him. Because like they're all, we see it in the show. They all love Ash. Even though
Or-
Pikachu is definitely number one for Ash, all of them love Ash. Even Charizard. That would have been so powerful if Charizard had come in
huge,
upset.
Or if Pikachu would have rolled over and looked at Ash and said, "It's because I love you." in a
Oh,
really
no.
creepy voice. If you guys have not seen Pokemon the movie, I choose you. I'm sorry.
That's the stupidest. Can't wait till we get to review that movie. I'm sorry, go on. I'm muting
I just-
myself.
I had to find a way to bring that into this episode. I'm sorry. Okay.
Bad.
So yeah, the tears of all the Pokemon bring Ash back to life. Mewtwo sees the sacrifice that Ash made to save the Pokemon, save the Pokemon and the world, and decides what he did was wrong. And then we get the best line in the movie from Mewtwo: "The circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with life that determines who you are," which is really great. Like it's such a relevant line. And didn't a politician use that?
I think I'd heard that as well. I don't remember when that was, but I feel like it was pretty
Yeah.
recently that a politician basically quoted Mewtwo.
Who's the politician who got coronavirus and passed away?
Herman Cain? Oh, it was Herman Cain.
It was Herman
It was
Cain.
Herman Cain.
Yeah. So I totally like
Coming
it.
from
Made me
mixed
think of that when I was
feelings?
watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so weird that happened, but yeah. Okay, so and then Mewtwo then takes his clone Pokemon away and says he's going basically to go find a new purpose, and just leaves the island with
But he does
the
one
clone
last
Pokemon.
thing. He does one last thing before he heads
Oh,
out.
he wipes everybody's memory and sends them
Mhm.
back. Is that the one you were going to say?
Yeah, they wipe
'Cause I
their
was gonna
memory
say-
and send them back in time to where they're back on the pier.
Yeah. So the trainers awaken back at the dock with no memory of anything that had happened, nor being invited to the special challenge. They don't even know why they're there. They're like, "Why are we here? How did we get here?" Kind of thing.
All I
the
know is I
storm
really
then-
wanted to go to New Island.
Yeah. The storm then ends, and Ash and the gang go to the end of the dock, where Ash sees Mew one last time. The other trainers, or Brock and Misty, kind of give him grief about like, "Oh, there's nothing there," and he's like, "Yeah, on my first day of my journey, I saw a legendary Pokemon, and I think I just saw another one." And that's basically the last thing we see of them. And then right after that, we get one last look at Team Rocket, who are still on New Island, but it's completely covered in like, it's like basically like a super like paradise island now that they're on. So they're like all stoked about it. And then the credits roll, and that's it. And then we get a bunch of pop songs.
It's like
and
how
the
in the
credits.
Godzilla movies, where like the radiation from their attacks causes plant life to grow.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. But that's the movie. That's it. It just ends with Team Rocket being on the island.
So
There
go ahead.
there is an after credit scene.
There is an after credit scene.
Oh.
It's
I-
not anything. It's literally like I think it's Mew flying around Mount Fuji.
Yes.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
that's it.
Yeah.
Also, did you mention that they run out on the pier and they're like, "Oh, the storm ended. What's going on?" And then Ash catches a glimpse of Mew.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So-
He saw Mew, and then he says
so-
that
What I was gonna say
he
was,
saw a legendary in his first day out too.
yeah. So he mentions it there. How so this is post memory wipe. In the whole rest of the series, Ash should be talking about, "Oh yeah, I saw Mew." He should be telling everybody. People should be saying, "This guy's insane. There's no way he saw Mew." He should be telling
So-
everyone he meets that I saw Mew.
Jeff, in Pokemon Journeys, does he because like that's the whole thing is that Go wants to catch Mew, right? Like he wants to find Mew, and does Ash ever say anything about meeting Mew or seeing
I don't
Mew?
think he does, and I was
I don't
trying to
know if he does
remember.
either.
I don't think he mentions it, and so then I do the thing where like I'm trying to enjoy the shows as an adult that are clearly not made for an adult who's watched every episode, right? So, so I do the mental gymnastics to convince myself Ash just doesn't want to take this away from Go. So he's not going to mention that he's seen Mew before because this is Go's thing, and he wants Go to have his thing.
That makes sense.
Good guy Ash.
But that's Pokemon the First Movie, everybody. That's it. We did it. We made it through our first review. What's your overall opinions on this movie watching it now as adults?
Go ahead, Jess.
It's really interesting how heavy-handed some of the themes get towards the end.
Yes. What, you mean the Brother My Brother song playing?
The Brother My Brother song, it's not how you're born, it's what you do with life. And it's like, it doesn't matter, or we can't focus on our differences. We have to focus on the things we have that are the same. It's just like, all right. Sure.
Yeah,
sure,
little
Pokemon.
heavy-handed, but you know what? That it's a message that bears repeating. So I'm
To
okay
be
with
fair,
it.
to be fair, you do have to beat kids over the head with messages.
For sure.
There's no subtlety.
I
Just
mean,
slam them in
kids,
the
we
face.
gotta beat adults over the head with these messages sometimes. I still love it. I honestly, I a few years ago I was going through and rating a bunch of movies on IMDb. Like this was like 10 years ago now. I was just rating a whole bunch of movies, and I came to Pokemon. I was like, yeah, I think this was a 7. Later, when I actually rewatched it and reviewed it again, I gave it 8 out of 10 because I try to rate things on a scale of like what they're trying to achieve within their genre, within their IP. So, like in terms of Pokemon movies, I know that Pokemon the First Movie is not Academy Award winning caliber, cinema. But in terms of Pokemon movies, it really does a great job. It's a cool story, really cool cinematics that hold up pretty well. Even considering how old this movie is.
Yeah.
I really like a lot about this movie. Sure, yeah, you said a little heavy-handed, and I'm pretty ticked off that the writers did not bother to learn the Pokemon's names, but I can get past that overall and just make snide remarks about it. I love the movie.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I still love this movie. There's a lot of nostalgia. Like, full disclosure, again, I saw this movie for the first time when I was 8 in theaters, so I believe that's a huge part of it. But every time I watch it, I still just have so much fun watching it. It's not my favorite Pokemon movie, which I know is kind of shocking because like the first one I feel like is like so universally like everybody's like, oh man, Pokemon the First Movie is my favorite one. But I still absolutely love it. It's a great time. I have fun every time I watch it.
100%. And I really feel like for me, Mew just makes this movie. Like it would have
Exactly.
been a great movie, even without Mew, but just that little bit extra, and
I
it's
personally
so good.
I personally think them not making Mew talk added a lot to it as well too.
Yep.
Like I think that added to the cute factor so much because in I think it's Pokemon Forever where they bring in Celebi. Doesn't Celebi talk? And I was like,
Yes,
I think Celebi does, and it makes it.
I
not
can't
as
remember if
cute.
it's Celebi or Jirachi that talks.
I know Jirachi talks.
Okay.
And then I also know that later Diancie talks.
Yeah, pretty much every legendary Pokemon going forward talks.
Yeah, that's
With the exception
disappointing.
of like, with the exception I think of Ho-Oh and I Choose You.
We'll get
He's
to
like-
we'll get to these eventually because that's this is kicking off.
And that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that we want to try to do one of these at least once a month to review a different film. So we were just doing this to test it. I had a blast with this, so I'm 100% down to do another one.
Especially since they're gonna get maybe the next couple are still pretty good movies, but then eventually the movies get pretty bad, and they're gonna be wild.
It's funny though because I personally really like the I Choose You movie, with the exception of that one part.
Agreed, it's pretty good, but that part's so stupid.
So yeah, everybody let us know in the comments of this video what you think of the movie. Give us your reviews, tweet at us your opinions of the movie. And yeah, just let us know what else you want to see as well. If you want to see us do more than one a month, let us know if you like the way we're doing it right now. We'll keep doing it one a month. But we will move on to our final segment of the show, which is Rank That Pokemon. Do we have a theme yet?
We don't have a theme yet for that.
We don't have a theme yet. Theme pending. Islam, please. We need a theme.
Call us.
Yeah, call us. Okay, so today the Pokemon that we're going to rank is Surfet. Pokemon number 865. Jess, I don't know if we really filled you in much on this, but basically what we do is every week we're ranking one Pokemon, and we're ranking it based on the way it looks, its evolutionary line, how useful it is, if it's in the anime, if it's useful, just like our overall opinions on that Pokemon. So yeah, and we're gonna put up the Bulbapedia page as well too for people that are watching, so they can see.
They can see what Surfetch'd looks like. Surfetch'd is from Sword and Shield. He's one of the newest Pokemon.
Yes. And I added it to the show notes as well too. If you see that, I added the link to the Bulbapedia page. What I'll do first is we have 10 Pokemon so far, so I'll give you guys the current rankings in order, ascending order from 10 to 1. At number 10, we have Scrafty with the 1. At 9, we have Bellsprout with the 2. At 8, we have Kufant with the 2.5. 7, Delibird with the 3. 6, Hariyama with a 3.5. 5, Duat with a 3.5. Number 4 is Rookie D with the 3.5. Number 3 is Shieldon with the 3.5. Number 2 is Rockruff with the 4. And number 1, Harry's not here live in the chat right now, but to his dismay, Floatzel at number 1 with a 4. Where are we putting Surfetch'd?
What do the numbers indicate? The 4
so
and the
that
3.5?
that is the average of our rating. So you can rate them on up to 5 with the fractionals. So you can if you want to rate it 3.5, you can do that.
Okay, well, first off, 5 out of 5 for how it looks. Surfetch'd is one of the
Surfetch'd
best.
does look so cool.
I agree.
Like-
I do think he's one of the cooler, as far as, especially out of our list so far, one of the coolest looking Pokemon that we've had to look at.
Riley says Sirfetch'd is easily number one so far.
I mean, I don't want to bury the lead here, but I'm on Team Riley with this one.
Yeah, I really like Sirfetch'd. I, however, don't love that Sirfetch'd is a fighting type only.
I agree.
It seems like a weird typing.
It does.
But having said that, man, the picture of Sirfetch'd in anime here with the sword and like the eyebrow, it's so cool.
So good.
Plus, it was cool to finally have an evolution for Farfetch'd, even if it was the
Yeah.
Galarian Farfetch'd has the evolution for Sirfetch'd. That was a really cool addition that I'm glad they finally got around to, because Farfetch'd, basically useless in Gen
Yeah.
1, despite being a fine design for a Pokemon. I like the way Farfetch'd looks, and he's carrying his leek. That's pretty cool. But they finally made him into a Pokemon worth having on your team by making him so that he can evolve into Sirfetch'd. So I'm a big supporter of Sirfetch'd for sure.
I feel like it's both a positive and a negative with his evolutionary line, because on the one hand, yes, we got an evolution, which is great. Like that's definitely a precursor for, it being a good thing to have an evolutionary line. But being a Galarian exclusive, I feel like that is, I don't know if that's a detriment or a plus.
The shiny of Sirfetch'd is so cool.
Oh,
I'm
goodness.
looking it up right now. Yeah, I can't remember what it looks like.
Literally all gold. He's all gold. It's
Oh
so
my
that's
cool.
right. Yeah, and I'm a sucker for gold Pokemon.
He looks so cool.
So, I mean, yeah, Sirfetch'd looks cool. Not the best typing, but overall stats are pretty good. His base stats has really good attack stats, which is fantastic. You can build a good Sirfetch'd build just based around that stat, because it's so much higher than most other ones.
I'm gonna be honest. Sirfetch'd is pretty high up there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not giving him a 5. He's not flawless, but I definitely give him a 4.
I'd like to point out that his leek is both a weapon and food.
Yep.
So he's prepared for anything.
That's
He also
excellent point.
Also, so it has its secret ability or hidden ability is Scrappy, which Scrappy causes ghost type Pokemon to be hit by damage dealing normal and fighting type moves, which is really cool as well.
Yeah, so you can't even use ghost types to avoid being hit, because he'll get you anyways.
I think he might be my new number 1 as well.
I think it's safe to say, especially based compared to, like I said, compared to the rest of the list of the Pokemon that we've had to look at so far. Other than Rockruff, who I think is just so cute, Sirfetch'd is actually like a good Pokemon.
I want to say that for me, Sirfetch'd is like a 4.25.
Okay.
I'm not giving it a full 4.5, and I don't know if I'd say it's just a 4, but I could also be persuaded to just say it's a 4 out of 5.
I think a 4.25 feels appropriate, because if you think about a 4.5, that's basically a 9 out of a 10, right? That's almost perfect.
Yeah.
Is Sirfetch'd almost perfect? He's up there for sure, like definitely up there, but I don't know.
I mean, so it sounds like we have two votes for 4.25 and 1 for 4. Is that what I'm getting?
So that would put him at a 4.125.
It would put it somewhere in the middle, which would round down to a 4. Because that we're pinning them to rounding to either 4 or 4.5. So it would round down. Thank you, Jackson. 4.125 with the average there.
Ooh, yeah.
So that would round down to 4, but it would be higher than Floatzel. So
yeah, okay, we could do a 4. Just it's a high 4 for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to keep it simple, like so that we don't have to read through fractions, especially since the fractions can get weird because we don't always have 3 people. Sometimes it's just you and me, Dustin.
That's
so
fair.
Yeah.
So I mean, we got a new number 1 here, and I'm happy about it. I am on board the Sirfetch'd train.
Okay, question.
New number 1. Oh, why did that not?
Are you guys doing every single Pokemon?
Yes, that's right, everybody. Dustin and I are going to be doing this for at least 898 episodes.
I feel like you're gonna need the fractions.
I also just kind of feel like eventually, I don't know how Jeff feels about this, but I do kind of feel like eventually we might just have to start doing 2 Pokemon an episode.
Yeah, it's worth considering for the future.
Like we can both have a different, like we could both do a random number generator and then bring a Pokemon. And anytime we have a guest, maybe we'll do 3.
Ooh, for big number episodes, you should do what do you call it? Lightning rounds with like 10 Pokemon.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Jess with the big ideas here. We're definitely stealing that.
It'll help us get through our list a little bit faster. Okay, so our new list is as follows. We're only gonna do the top 10 from now on. Like now that we're past 10 Pokemon. So number 10 is Bellsprout with a 2. Number 9 is Kufon with a 2.5. Number 7 is Delibird with a 3. I'm sorry. Number 8 is Delibird with a 3. Number 7 is Hariyama with a 3.5. Number 6 is Duat with a 3.5. Number 5 is Rookie D with a 3.5. Number 4 is Shieldon with a 3.5. Number 3 is Rockruff with a 4. Number 2 is Floatzel with a 4. And number 1 is Surfetched with a 4.
Yeah.
So we have a new number 1. I had to do all that because I didn't type it into the notes yet. I had to just, in my head, mentally not
Adjust
read the numbers before it. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy about it.
Yeah, me too. New number 1, Surfetched. Who would have thought that Surfetched, a brand new Pokemon, would be our number 1 for now? But we'll see how long that lasts.
Look at
next
us.
week.
Look at us. Who'd have thought?
Yeah. Who would have thought? Surfetched got a really cool shiny. Harry will be very happy that Floatzel's not number 1 anymore.
I think everyone is. Everyone in chat seems to agree. Surfetch number 1 on our current list, which that's a big moment.
He's just such a gentleman.
He's surfetched.
All right, everybody. That's our show for the week. Thanks to everybody for coming through and hanging out. Before we go, Jess, do you have anything that you would like to promote?
Check out 61 Indie on Twitter and YouTube. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Kikio1506. I'm at Kikio1506 anywhere, basically everywhere.
And it's on screen, so you have it to spell correctly.
No, I had a lot of fun with this, you guys. Thanks so much for bringing me on.
Yeah, and thanks for coming on. This was a blast. Like we said, we're gonna try to do a review episode, hopefully of the movies at least once a month. I think what we will probably do for our next review, though, will be our review of the new Pokemon Snap, which will, like I said, the game comes out at the end of April, so it'll be either the first or second weekend of May that we'll have that episode out. So look forward to that as well. Jeff, do you have anything that you would like to promote at the moment?
I do. On Thursday, April 15th, I'm having a birthday stream on my Twitch channel here, Good Game Grizz. I'm going to be playing games for like 11 hours, something like that. A crazy long time. I'm starting off at 11 o'clock Central Time with Sea of Thieves. I'm playing with our friends Islam and Hugo. And then I'm going to play some games by myself while people are at work and they can't play with me. But then once people are not at work, I'm doing Jackbox games. Jessica's going to be playing with us during that segment. Our buddy Jackson is going to play as well as a bunch of my local friends and things like that. And then Dustin and I are going to close out my stream doing some Dynamax raids and Dynamax caves in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So it's going to be a big, long day of stream, and I do hope that we can get some people in the chat because that's what makes it the most fun for me.
And I can also, for me, promoting-wise, I want to promote my Twitch. I'm still trying to hit affiliate. I'm getting there. I've been playing Outriders recently. I did open some packs recently. I need to upload that video to YouTube. I keep forgetting, but I opened some packs last weekend, a bunch of packs. It was like probably an hour and a half worth of like just me sitting here opening packs forever. I may do another one soon. I have a giant stack of Battle Styles packs here that I have, so maybe I'll do another one soon. And I may also tomorrow, I have not decided. I was doing my Resident Evil streams on Twitch, but time kind of got away from me, and now we're only a month away from the new Resident Evil game coming out. So I may just play the ones that I really like. I may go through and play Resident Evil 2, 3, 4, and 7, just all leading up. Those are all kind of short games, so I could probably knock each one out in like a weekend. We'll see what happens. But yeah, follow me, or please check out DDanger10 on Twitch, and I would greatly appreciate it. Also, do not forget to follow Pod-ket Monsters on Twitter. We are really trying to get followers there. We would love people to share opinions on the show, their opinions on movies and stuff like this. Like we said, we'll be doing movie reviews later, so we would love people to write in with their opinions ahead of time, so we can even read some people's opinions of the movies, or like small little reviews when we get to the end of the show or something like that. So please follow Pod-ket Monsters on Twitter.
Yeah.
And anybody else got anything else to say?
Following.
Anybody else got something they want to say to me?
Anybody else got anything to say before we close this show out?
Good.
And if you are watching live right now on Twitch on at Good Game Grizz, we are going to be opening a few Pokemon card packs as well too. So hang out with us, and we'll be chatting with you in the chat.
And
Thanks everybody. Have a good night.
We'll see you next time.